Come on. Phoenix is rising. Hey, hey, hey. Your transformational coach. T is here with another podcast discussion. Today, we're going to talk about, as briefly as I possibly can, recognizing your triggers. And so, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I've been triggered, and I know that a lot of people have been triggered. There have been natural disasters, the banks, and people are wondering, us proletariats were wondering, hey, is that going to happen to us? And I'm already in poverty. So, you know, I'm grateful that I do have a few coins and, whatever as far as metals and things of that nature go. So I'm grateful for that. But, I know a lot of us are stressed. And so I thought, I know I've been feeling it. And so I thought, let me talk about these triggers. So, the topics are recognizing a trigger or triggers, how to get centered after you've been triggered, and is crying okay? And the last one I believed for me as a Black biological female, um, it's very important because sometimes it's hard to cry because we've been conditioned as Black women, especially, that our tears don't mean anything. They actually get people off. They like to see that we're weak. So it's more of, oh, yeah, see, it's more of a power trip. In some cases, or we get devalued, or people see it as a weakness and try and exploit it when we cry. And we're going to talk more about this. So tune in. Let me get the introduction. My name is Tennille, and I am a transformational coach for Black, lesbian, and trans women 30 to 50 who have survived a relationship with cluster B personalities, be they family members, friends, co-workers, boyfriends, girlfriends, etc., and are ready to go through the 4 steps I guide them through to break generational curses, get to know the Most High God better, and regain confidence and clarity. The best part of this whole entire process is reconnecting to your authentic self. And I've said it before, Phoenix's Rising Academy, say it with me. When you know yourself, you know God. I am not just a coach, however, I am also a survivor of gang stalking, witchcraft attacks, a lot of them that have been centered around killing me and my fur babies, and narcissistic abuse for over 10 years. And if you haven't, are just joining me, and you're just listening to the podcast or tuning into my channel, please go back to some of my earlier work about 2 years ago, as I have said that gang stalking is a sorority for cluster B personalities and their flying monkeys. And that I keep getting confirmation that that's true every day. So yeah, so I've been through the gang stalking. I'm still actually being stalked because once they target you, they never stop. The thing of it is when you when you use these 4 ingredients that I'm going to go into, when you use these 4 ingredients to get to your authentic self, you are removing every foothold that the devil can use through these cluster B personalities to bind you and to keep you off track, to keep you out of your purpose. Your purpose does not have to be something grandiose or really big, but it doesn't mean that it's not as important. When we make bridges, the concrete, that mixture, the science behind that is extremely important, even though it seems kind of blasé, right? We see this finished product of architecture and whatever, but it was the really small steps, the really small fine tune. When I was working for AmeriCorps Corps, now they call it AmeriCorps, or Corp. When I was working with AmeriCorps Corp, um, they had to, I was doing painting, hanging cabinets, laying sheetrock, doing all that texturing, painting. And so in painting, they had something called finish work, right? So there, and that was a whole, so you had the painters, exterior painters, interior painters, right? Then you had the finished painters. Do you know that that is a career within itself? That's a specialty. And I could see why, because I didn't have the patience. I didn't have the patience to tape off, everything, and to really go in there and, get those little crook nooks and crannies and stuff like that. So it doesn't matter what your purpose is. Sometimes when, let's say you wake up in the morning, right? You wake up and you go outside and you remember to do your prayer and meditation, right? You don't really feel like doing it, but your guides and the Holy Spirit, they say, get on it, get on it, and add these people to your prayer list. Now, when you pray for somebody, let me interject here, and you guys, I'm known for doing this. I know every time I do the introduction, I'm always going off into examples and storyland, but thank you for loving me anyway. Um, so let's say you don't want to, but you are obedient and you do it anyway, and you're listening, and the Most High God puts on your mind screen a certain person or a certain company or a certain area, right? And so you go into, great gratitude and praise. And even when we're saying Vedic mantras, if you have something, or if you're a Nichiren Buddhist, if you have something, and especially because they're saying that in between, basically in between the Om, that symbolism is representative of the human, right? So I know in Nichiren Buddhism, their malas and Vedic or Hinduism, their malas, jap malas, are are representative of our chakra, representative of our as above, so below. So whatever's in the universe, the distance from the sun to us, right? It's all in the planets and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? That's why they're always saying, hey, you got to keep this up because you're building up your spiritual coffer. And I explained this in the last podcast discussion that I just got through doing, that when you continue to pray, even though it seems like, let's say somebody does, okay, sorry. I'll finish this real quick. Let's say somebody does witchcraft against you. They're doing their rituals, right? They got their cat's claw, their cow tongue and nails, and graveyard dirt, and they're stuffing the cow tongue with the graveyard, and they got your name on it, and they got you in a container jar, and they got you in a coffin, makeshift coffin, and they got candles all around it, and they're they're doing all that stuff, right? Now, a lot of us who are super empaths, which means that we've just been lit since birth, and that's what they've been trying to die down, right? So we never needed any of that. I never needed any of that. That's why, whatever the title, even though I know it means Wiccan, wisdom, da 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 da, you can go through the history all you want to. But the fact of it is, you either got it or you don't. You either got it or you don't. Jasmine's Gardens, she's on TikTok, and I think she's on Instagram too. But she says she was like, "You guys are cosplaying witches." This is something she got to go check her out, because she says it and it's so funny and it's so right on. So, but here, your spiritual practice, and you're doing these 4 steps and ingesting these 4 ingredients, right? That I work with you on, that I take you through this path. When you continue to do, say, your psalms, right? Because the psalms are on another frequency. If I say, if I clear my chakras, that's on another frequency, right? That specifically, if you clear your chakra, you're clearing out all that voodoo and hoodoo. That's why they say, stay with your chakra. Do not move up another chakra. Like I've been guilty of this, but do not go. Let's say you're in your Muladhara chakra, also known as the root chakra. You're in your Muladhara chakra, and you haven't cleared your chakras in a long time. You stay in that chakra, just like you stay in that first step that I take you through, until you have had enough written down that has been revealed to you that you need to heal, and it is prioritized, that you need. And it's also, it's not just prioritized, but it's that they, the Most High and your spirit team, they already know what you're going to ask, right? They already know what you're going to ask. They already know what you're going to say. So, you could ask just to be a participant, you know. Sometimes I do just to confirm, or you just let yourself go. But um oh gosh, when you do these ingredients, okay, when you're doing you're also, yes, the chakra, do so, yeah, you do not move from one step, you do not move from one chakra until you know, until you feel that you have cleared that. When you have cleared your chakra, excuse me, when you have cleared those efficiently, you will feel yourself kind of spin like a top. That's how you know that you are ready to go to the next chakra, which would be the Svadhisthana chakra. Okay, that's your also known as the sacral. Then you have the Manipura chakra, right? That's between I just basically say it's between my rib cage and my breast. So this either way, but and so that's why I said, when whoever is it, I have had somebody try to attach themselves to my right shoulder blade, and kind of like, if you guys have ever watched the movie Venom, this is my example I always use. When we get deep into the occult, right? Because that's what this is about the occult, this is about the supernatural. I have seen things in the spiritual realm, and I continue to see things. I'm going to talk about body snatchers next time. So, anyway, but the more you do work on your spiritual stuff, you do your spiritual practice, you have a regimen down. I'm always doing working on my chakras. I feel naked or lonely if I don't, because for me the Psalms, I mean, I say the Psalms, but like I said, but that's another frequency. The chakras clear out another thing, so that's another frequency. There's more chakras, there's more declarations and decrees that you make, but the more you build, more intense you are. And that's where fasting comes in, because when you fast, there is nothing that's blocking you. Your system is not blocking you. The aftertaste of coffee or marijuana is not or a cigarette is not blocking you, right? It's not blocking you. When I quit smoking, I felt this entity trying that's been pestering me for some time, um, and my partner, but has been pestering me for some time. And they thought, oh, I got an opening. And remember, in previous discussions, Phoenixes, I've said that anything that your very life is exploited by these narcissistic cluster B's personalities. Okay, that's what they do. It's who they are. It's a character disturbance. You are not going to change them from being pathologically envious or jealous of you. You're not going to, this is what they do. They live and breathe demonic energies and other entities. Sometimes we wade, if you think about it, we're in a fishbowl and we're wading in water. And in some areas, the demonic parasites are more dense than in other areas, where you have majority of the people who are on some type of um, spiritual program, spiritual path, right? So this is the way. These 4 steps are an entryway into your own kingdom, you building your own empire. Because when you get to know yourself, you get to know God. When you get to know God, you get to know your bloodline. When you get to know your bloodline, you get to know your rights. So you can make those declarations. You can make those decrees. You can do spiritual bloodline house cleaning. Understand me. I did a short talking about the significance, the symbolism of Jesus being the lamb, or Isa being the lamb. He wasn't the lamb for everybody. I know that's going to shock a lot of people, but he did not die for our sins. He went for his families. He purified himself. He was not a Christian. I would dare say that he was a Buddhist. But in the Bible, what is it? There's a verse in there that says, "We shall confound their language. We shall play the semantics game, and we shall withhold information and direction that they need, and pretend that we have it all together." Because if they had it all together, what they've learned has been inverted. So what they get, that's why these guys die, and that's why when you turn the tables on them, they can't stand it. I once somebody was after me so much, and that I was so tired of it. I'm still tired of it because the same person that, like I said, they don't leave you, but you just learn the steps to deal with them. You get the fortitude, you get the tools to deal with them until divine timing steps in. God has stepped in. And when I say God, I mean not Mama God or my spiritual team. I mean the Most High God has stepped in. Like when before they were blocking my dreams because that's where I get my downloads. That's where me and my spiritual team come in. That was also where a few of them got their asses kicked because they came for me. And when I moved, I actually saw one of them. It was a female with orangish yellow hair, and I tripped and she laughed hysterically. But they all came to see who Tennille was. Who is this being that we have not been able to kill with our, behind closed doors, doing our rituals and death spells behind closed doors? They're doing it again. I'm at a hotel and we're leaving, and they're trying. So I was like, hey, you guys, if you guys can donate anything, please do. Please do. If I can get 100 people with a to donate $1, we'll be square because I want to be able to finish my documentary. I finally got through that, and I want to. So please go to my other channel. And you can go through it on TikTok too. And there's the information scrolling on the bottom of the screen. Please, just whatever support you guys can give, because the spiritual battle is real. They don't give up. But it doesn't mean that I'm stopping my steps, because go listen to that last podcast discussion that I did. Because when we stop, when we give up, they're distracting everybody. If I gotta work, see, I just started on my, after I worked through, because I was procrastinating. Why? Because I was afraid, and I was still ashamed of everything that I went through. I was afraid of my looks. I was afraid of my fat ass. I was afraid of having no butt. I was, you know what I mean? I was afraid of my locks and everybody seeing those vivid pictures, because I was taking pictures of everything until I got, for remembered I could take video, and I got more storage, to document this 3-year battle, to for my life. And it wasn't just a battle about being homeless. It was a battle about rehoming myself within myself. You feel me? Rehoming myself within myself. Because I had been outside of myself for so long. I had been homeless in the spiritual realm before I was homeless in the physical. So anyway, let me kind of get back on, well, let me get back on track. So again, like I said, I'm not just a coach. I am truly a survivor of murderous gang stalkers and their flying monkeys, Norteños and their witchcraft rituals to Santa Muerte, and death spells and attempts to sacrifice me and my fur babies. Some of them they did get. And just dealing with somebody who is now in a psychosis and is obsessed over my life because they figure that, well, you got it too good. And, I don't know, so they want to create havoc and barriers, but I was homeless for 3 years. And the way that I survived within the last 12 years of being in Sacramento, California, I was homeless for 3, and spent 2 years off the streets. But for those 3 years, I survived because the divine took me through 4 steps to my spiritual, financial, physical, and mental freedom. And it happened on the spiritual realm. So it does not, and I've said this before, it does not mean that just because you don't see instantly the manifestation, because everything will manifest. But when you were dealing with the demonic realm, when you were dealing with their hierarchy, new level, new devil. And those new devils, the more you raise up, become more savage. So here are the steps that the Most High God, what ended up being, the ingredients to me that I use every day. Like I said, I had to ask the Most High God, number one, reveal to me why I'm afraid to do this documentary. Why am I now procrastinating? Okay, so then, and just to add to this, it's also, I had revealed to me while I was on the streets patterns of poverty consciousness, right? Beliefs that I had about myself because somebody else told me, that I was 98 pounds, and I had people telling me that I was fat. I had people telling me that I was stupid, that I was dumb, that I was ugly. And when I didn't believe it, or I brushed it off, and they could, I wear everything on my face, so they would get violent with me. I was a child, right? So there were reasons. So those were all the things that were dug up again, that were blocking me from living from my authentic self. Two, heal. Once what you see, what is revealed, a lot of times when we're going through trauma, we've grown up in a malignant, not with malignant narcissistic parents or siblings or foster homes or whatever. I grew up in foster homes after 13, right? So when we go through this stuff, it's like, oh, okay. I didn't see it before because somebody just told me what happened, right? That's like on TikTok. You'll have people say, oh, there's a crash, but they're only got 30 seconds of a snippet of what actually happened, and it's usually all gone. And you know what I mean? Like it's not the main chunk. But when you have the Most High revealed, there you are actually now the omnipresent. I think it's the called in literature terms, you're an omnipresence, where you see everything. You're that fly on the wall, right? And so that can bring healing, right? So when you've recognized, been revealed the trauma, the patterns or beliefs that you've had that are keeping you stuck from your authentic self, then when the trauma, when you can see it, that brings healing. And so through that healing also uh, is made up of forgiveness. And most of all, it's forgiving yourself. When you forgive other people, but it doesn't mean that you have to run up on them unless the Most High God tells them to, not you. Learn to recognize who God is, and learn to recognize what God's voice is, and learn to recognize your voice. I can recognize my auntie's voice. I can recognize even my mom. I had to God revealed to me a little bit ago that my mom, she passed away in 2019. Bless her. She is now my protector. She is now my guardian, right? So and she's not in this form, but I was I was saying in the last podcast discussion, I was like, gosh, we are some powerful mofos in the astral realm. So, and I was listening to somebody, I think they were doing like a collective rundown or something. And there's like, you know what, you really need to learn to fight in the spirit, because these guys are coming after you in the dream realm. See, when they can't get to you in the physical, they will psychically attack you. They will start out with a psychic attack, but they're going to do more in the 3D realm. But when they realize that taking my home, slandering people about me and keeping them away from me, right? Because they're trying to do the same thing again. And that's what I've said that before. I have an 8-week program coming up in the fall, Most High willing, or excuse me, coming up in the summer, Most High God willing. Or actually, you guys can take it anytime, but officially I will be launching. You guys can go to my Fiverr. If you go into the description, you can go to my Fiverr and you can sign up with it for it. If you just want to do one-on-one with me for 8 weeks. And it's not going to take, it probably won't take the full 8 weeks, but those you're also getting 60-minute sessions that I usually charge $120 for. So you have if you're doing it just one-on-one and not in a group setting, then you get my full time. So the cost, and then you get a workbook, you get quizzes. And actually, in this one, if you do it through Fiverr, the quizzes aren't there. But if you go through Thinkific, then the quizzes are there. But anyway, I digress. So, but that's what I'm taking you through. I'm taking you through how to identify the characteristics and traits, and the MO of cluster B personalities, right? So from all that, from reveal, then you heal by, seeing the bigger picture. We go through, there's a steps that we go through within step two, a lot of writing, to get you to focus, to get you to see, right? Working on different sides of the brain, that okay, yeah, I did that, or okay, I won't do that again, or now I know better, I do better, right? And then I forgive myself and I forgive other people. Forgiveness means that I can't change anything that happened now, but I see it and I won't do it again. So grow. That's number three. We grow from releasing the fear, guilt, and shame, and to, after forgiving others, including ourselves, and we are no longer carrying that baggage, because now we see clearly through step one. We saw what actually happened. Step two, we healed. We asked for, we forgave ourselves. But, and again, there's writing. It sounds simple, but it's more detailed than what I'm sharing with you. And there's actually, if you want to go to my Amazon link, you can buy the workbook, and I think it's only like 17.95 or something like that. May not even be that much. Okay, and it's a download. You can download it, PDF ebook. If you just want to, do the workbook yourself. So there's many ways to work with me. You just got to choose which one is going to best work for you. So I'm trying to have a diverse, some diversity, so that way with busy people or people who have kids or whatever. Okay, so third is grow, release the fear, guilt, shame, where you're no longer carrying baggage from your past, and basically you're growing up that little child within you. You're no longer, you still gonna have the heart of a child, but you're not coming from being um the wounded child. There's no, now that child has grown up and that child has gotten to trust you to take care of it, to take care of him or to take care of her, right? And then four, show. When similar, and this is very important because, and this is why I said I use the 4 steps every day, right? And they're not as simple as they sound, but that was just, for advertising purposes, but I use the 4 steps every day because I have to, because especially if there is a change, if the wheel of time is turning, and everybody who planted all evil seeds against us and all that witchcraft that they've done and all that trying to kill us, and those people who have, excuse me, unalive us, trigger warning, and I mean, because that's basically what it amounts to. When we are dealing with cluster B personalities who within their cocktail, the cluster B cocktail is a borderline personality, bipolar, antisocial, psychopath, sociopath, narcissist, and histrionic personality, right? And that's why you can never really pin down, because they are literally onion skinning between demons. And those of you who are animators know what onion skinning looks like. Okay? So, in a nutshell, coaching with me, you can be reassured, because I've gone through what many of my clients have conquered, and I've conquered it, right? Just because you still continue to go through stuff, Phoenixes, does not mean that, it doesn't, it means that you are aware, and sometimes painfully aware, um, what's going on, the who, what, when, where, why, and how. You are aware, and there's nothing. I tell you what, these guys, think about this. I am one person. I do not have family. I have not been allowed to have friends, because my friends have been literally ran off, like people that I have clicked with. When the Most High God revealed to me my kin, I don't say soulmate or whatever. I say kin, because, my wife, basically. So when my wife was revealed to me, we started connecting telepathically, and she would come in and visit me during work, and I would literally see her. See, it's so I'm so grateful. Our sometimes we can feel like our spiritual gifts, and I've told you the difference between gifts and abilities. Go back to some other podcast discussions. It can feel like our spiritual gifts are a burden to us. You feel me? Like oh God, or a curse, like, and because people just know. They know that we vibrate differently, and with a cluster B personality, it, it is a it is a fear that they have that they can't let go of, because you know what I mean, until they eradicate you. And usually the way that they do that is by belittling you, slandering you, minimizing your presence. And how, and so basically they're attacking your chakra. If I can get you out of stability and I can take your housing from you, if I can get other people to stalk you and take pictures of you and harass you and gaslight you and do street, then all this stuff that TIs of targeted individuals have endured over the last, I would say, well, since 9/11, that's when the gang stalking started, because people were talking about it being an inside job, and those people who knew that it was didn't want people to come after them. See, when you tell the truth, and they want to get you ashamed of telling the truth, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's basically, you are a threat to me. You see through to things. You may not say anything, but you might. You're taking attention from me, so I have to take you down a peg. I have to tell, you know what I mean, and the competition. And I was wonder, now I understand why you never had somebody that you don't even know and they just come up to you and challenge you, like they speak a challenge to you, and you're like, okay, well, why would I do that? Oh, you afraid? Well, it's easy. All you got to do is say, but I don't even know who you are. But then they keep going. See, that's the insanity, to keep going. That's the delusion, right? The cluster B personalities are delusional. So the delusion is I'm in competition with you, or because I mentioned that I know that you're attracted to me, that you think that I'm reciprocating, and I'm not, right? So a lot of times we think, oh, well, I'm not getting any further. I'm not making any, friends. They've totally destroyed my life, and da da da. Well, and a lot of people do give up. And I've talked about the steps of, there's steps, because I felt the steps. Right. And at any time in your journey, some people become stagnant because they're like, God, I've been through everything. If you guys could feel, I've already told you what I've been through. I'm getting ready to show you now. And now they don't want me to share it, because if I share it, then it'll people who are now, because there's a new wave of homelessness coming. It's here, you know and it's amazing to me that these cluster B personalities can want to study your birth charts and want to look into what you got going on, but they can't. Why not heal your own, so you don't have to be embarrassed of what you are? And here's the thing, prosperity. Sorry, prosperity has her mouth open and her eyes open, and she's just kind of like, I'm like, okay, baby, it doesn't look good on you. Scaring mama. Trigger warning. um so instead of that, then they can't. And some people know that, because see, what I realized being on the streets, and I've told you this, guys, when we're doing my soul journey, my hardcore work, is that I had to die to everything that I thought I was, and literally be remade like a butterfly, a caterpillar in a cocoon. So usually with cluster Bs, unfortunately, and they have a proclivity to SA people, children, for the power of it, you know. And so if you're really serious about your healing journey, then you would have to um, go to prison. There's no way around that. You would have to literally pay for what you've done to other people. I had a roommate. If you guys go to Blue Phoenix Rising Media LLC, my YouTube channel, I don't know, did I put it on my YouTube, or excuse me, my TikTok? Um, I'll you have to you'll see the roommate, the narcissistic roommate that I had, that was, I mean, like, in, sexual orientation ambiguous, but she was I mean, there was no, it was, she came to me as a cancer patient who was desperate to escape her her living arrangements because they were unsanitary, and she couldn't be around that, she said. All right, so here, me being a people pleaser and wanting to be somebody's savior, okay, I let this woman in my home. As soon as I set a boundary and challenged her and embarrassed her, mask came off for 2 months. For 2 months, it was like 2 years living with somebody. If I was talking on the phone, she was listening. And I was, as I was telling the story. See, I want you guys to be able to get to tell your stories too. So anyway, go to my Phoenix's Rising Media LLC. Just type at Blue Phoenix Rising. Blue Phoenix does not have an E at the end. So Blue Phoenix Rising Media LLC, my TikTok, my IG, and my YouTube channel. Okay. YouTube channel, just spell out Blue Phoenix as you see right here. So write it down, please, and check it out. And I would just appreciate you guys right now if you guys would like, subscribe, and share um, my videos, and especially if you resonate with this, give me a comment. Let me know. So let's get to trigger warning. So here, again, I keep going. The reason why I keep doing these videos is because I know that they want me not to. I know that the attacks that have been coming, and people's like, gosh, it's almost as if I can hear folks be like, oh, why are you getting attacked so much? Are you really getting attacked, or is it all in your head? No, I'm really being attacked. I'm really being attacked. Um, because once they start, they don't stop. So for me, how you recognize, let's go through this, recognizing a trigger, how I recognized the trigger within myself recently. So I shared with you guys, the HR horror stories, and a podcast discussion, and when boundaries, cluster bees and boundaries don't mix. That was the topic of another cluster bee, or a podcast discussion, talking about my cluster bee, the workplace mobbing that I was experiencing at this site. And I've only been working for this company for 5 months, right? So because I've only been working for this company for 5 months, it's been, and we've only been here. So of course, one thing that my astral stalkers now, and they don't stalk physically too much once it became clear that I have a green light to tap into to my dark side, you can say. Um, and so, which is why they've worked on my body to make me feel weak, to make me feel tired. Like every time when they attack my body, I think they do use a voodoo doll. And and they go after my legs, they go after my butt, they want me to be this mammy caricature. And these are mostly Hispanics, but there are Black people who are doing this too, and most of them are men who have sexualized me. And I just know, because of what I sense in the spiritual realm, having those gifts, that I am not going to deny myself. But also, I've seen them in person, because as soon as I've looked at one of them, and he did something, and I've shared about that. But anyway, and then afterwards, it was like, this person is literally tapping out of themselves. Somebody has taught these in Sacramento, California. It is part of the Norteños to use witchcraft, because that's why they're always saying, hey, keep everything secret, don't say anything. If you're going to be with us, you're basically signing a covenant, death in, death out. You got to sacrifice somebody. We all benefit, and that's what why the Most High God had me do that short while I was at work, actually. And I always doing stuff at work because I understand. I love the wisdom, but I'm like I'm overdue for a vacation, right? Like I wasn't so when we transitioned to the new place, it was we were supposed to be able to rest, me and the fur babes, right? And we started doing that, and immediately we got attacked, right? And I mean, you just I don't wish this on anybody, but if you are going through it where you feel whether it be in physical or in the spiritual realm where this person these people or a person is attacking you because they're obsessed about you, just know the end is nigh, right? um but that's why I said because they feel so, Isa was going through the same thing. I believe that I am with somebody was like, okay, you're too powerful in the physical, so we're going to go after your mind, we're going to go after your body, and we're going to part you out like vultures and hyenas with a carcass. And that's what these guys have been doing. Like I had so many people, I've said this before, I've had so many people in my energy, but anyway, and it's not just my energy, like they sit, imagine you're a car and people who you don't know, you the alarm has gone off, they've unplugged the alarm, they've disconnected the alarm. So now they're in your seat, your the back seat, the front seat, everything. They got stinky feet, everything. But they don't have authority to be there because in their bodies, in their cars, they got people or creatures that they're tired of. But because they made a pact with them, they can't get rid of them until they produce, right? So they feel, oh, we're killing, a few birds with one stone. Okay. So that's how it feels. So anyway, my trigger came because after getting off the streets, it's been 2 years now, right? Since we've been off the streets. And I've been living out of hotels and whatnot. And so I got triggered because of the blocks. I said I had to move, I had to be reassigned. And unfortunately, I work with the company because of the population. They have, there's a major population. Hold on just a minute. I just noticed that, baby. I'm sorry. Hogwarts. So sorry, guys. Hold on. All right, baby girl. Yummy, 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 yummy. Okay, sorry, Phoenixes. I forgot that the girls didn't have any water. I didn't forget, but I just saw that they didn't have any water. And so anyway, I have had to relocate, be reassigned. I asked, requested to be reassigned in time. So in my mind, I'm thinking because of the way that I am punctual. One thing that the Most High God has had to work on me with is procrastination. So I am punctual. And I requested a reassignment at least 2 weeks before I actually left. But because these people that I was dealing with didn't want to take responsibility for their employees who were workplace mobbing, right? Those people still have a job. They're not going hungry. They're not facing homelessness, right? And I don't think that I'm over exaggerating because it's happened. I never thought that it would, but it happened. And not only was I homeless, but they tried to keep me homeless, right? So the biggest narcissistic wound that I gave my gang stalkers and these arrogant bravado, sense that we got a sense of entitlement. We own the state, we own the city gang members was getting up and talking about them openly, right? So, and it's not what I wanted to do when I moved here. That was not my charge, and it was not my battle to do this. But when people are lying on you, right? People, it's weird because cluster B personalities seem to, they can read you. We've heard about that reptilic stare, the psychopathic, sociopathic stare, right? That's them. That's the demons inside of them calculating, getting your energy, right? You ever watch anime and in some of those animes where you're sizing, they're getting sized up by agility and stamina and speed and all that. That's basically what they're doing, right? And so when they can tell that you're vibrating, see, I was getting too high because I was feeling comfortable, I was relaxing, I was healing what was still wounded, what was still open, right? And I was doing the last of it. And so it was just prayer and meditation and writing. Was writing my short videos, short films to produce, and finished the first book of my, first part of my story, right, in book form, telling my story from how I got up off the streets, right? So I had done that, and is all of it. This is very important to me, Phoenix's Rising Academy, because my mom didn't get to do this. Now, the golden child who unalived my mom for insurance money, right? When I told her that I was homeless, she didn't offer me to go down to where she was, right? Or fly over, right? She didn't offer me anything. She just said, "Oh, that's too bad." But then, and this is how you know you're dealing with a cluster B personality, is because then when I asked her, when I talked to her about it, she was like, "Oh, well, I helped our brother. She helped the youngest brother out." Right now, I am estranged from these guys, and it's not from lack of my trying. It's just we are literally on a different vibration. And one thing that I found from the golden child sister is that she has a demonic attachment as well. And that thing came into my dream, and I woke up immediately because not only was I grossed out, it was scary. Like I actually saw that thing. Like it had me pinned down, right? So it had me pinned down. We were in a bed. So I was grossed out because this is my little sister. Ooh, I'm not into that. And it was terrifying because I saw the demon black, no other details, not scaly or anything, just a black, like a literal shadow of her. And that's the only reason why I think I could tell that it was her, because I remembered looking and trying to see any semblance, to try and get any detail, and all I could see was like the outline, kind of, and just that this person had pinned me down, and I felt there was lust there, and I'm like, okay, what is that? Like, what is that? I just talked to her on the phone, dude. I'm like, I'm homeless. That's not where I'm at, right? So anyway, um, so I didn't get any help from this person, from this little sister, the golden child. And so I forgot what the whole purpose was for saying that, because I got freaked out again. Again, trigger warning. So anyway, back to so basically what I had done was I was asked to, I had some complaints. I'd had a few cluster B personalities, because they'll come after you when you rise up. They'll come after you, right? Because there was the popular kids and the cool kids. You don't talk to down to the cool kids, right? And even the borderline, the cool kids that are still trying to become cool kids, but they can't become cool kids because they're white. I had that. That was the next one after this one. So I had to, there was trouble with her, and I reported it. And I said, look, this person is lying. She's being very aggressive. This person went so far as to violate my physical space. Now, this was another female, to the point where I was, she triggered me, and I almost hit her. It's not something I'm proud of, but that's going to be a fact when people roll up on you and you with that type of demonic energy. I have been dealing with other people's demons and whatever the hell that they conjure for years now, and I'm tired of it. So when this cluster B brought hers, I was like, no, ma'am. And I told her, next time you do this, you're going to be on the floor. You do not, when she stopped. That's how you know that they're conscious of what they're doing. So anyway, that can went on to somebody else who got, anytime you trigger a cluster B and their ego and you embarrass them, they will get back at you. So then another co-worker got embarrassed and it triggered her, and so she had to slander me to every Tom, Dick, and Harry in there. And they really didn't take her personally, but then she started moving my stuff, looking into my stuff, right? Looking into my I had a little backpack, one of those miniature backpacks. I had one of those that I had left there. She decided that she wanted to move it, right? So basically, there were so many complaints. The dude said, "Well, we don't know what's really going on," because I told him, I said, "Look, this is what's going on, and I don't want to be here. I desire to be reassigned." So the reassignment, officially, I put it in paperwork because they weren't listening to me. Okay, so just not even talking about what's really going on. So the trigger came from me was when I had done everything that I was supposed to do. And in my mind, I was thinking, hey, okay, I put in a reassignment 2 weeks ago, right? I'll be in time, I'm not going to miss a pay period or whatever. Okay. So I got another job actually, because I went and applied for another job because they were taking too long on purpose. And because I actually talked to a lawyer and she said, well, I get a lot of complaints about this company, and you would not believe them. She goes, this sounds like what other complaints that other people have had, but it's not, there's that part wasn't substantial. There was nothing to sue for that. You can't sue for that. So I'm like, okay, I'm doing, I'm like, okay, maybe I'll have a job. I'm going. But it ended up that, and see, when people do witchcraft on you, they're manipulating time and space in order for their intention to come into fruition. And they got to do this day or night. Like I said, I don't have to go and get a kettle or whatever. All I got to do is sing, which is very important for us to have emotional intelligence, because I cannot be overcome by grief. But I had to recognize that I was triggered unless I would have been overcome by grief, because that's the state that they want you to be in. I have somebody who wants to siphon me emotionally, remotely, because they're so used to it. It's like, gosh, I've been feeding off of you for a while. And actually, she hasn't been, right? They've been trying to, because the more drugs you got to do to get that and the more times you got to keep astral projecting yourself through drug induced, state, that's doing harm to you, not to me. Right. So, but when I realized that, oh my gosh, these guys aren't as serious about hiring me, and my current employer is not serious about relocating me, so I am going to be homeless because nobody's doing anything, right? And it was a huge trigger, and because I didn't want to overdo it, I wanted to have a calm mind, right? And I would let seep out a little bit of tears or whatever. And I thought, okay, I'm good. I'm not going to worry about it. We're good. Something's got to come through. And that's when I knew I was in denial. And really what what really hurt my heart was, uh, I went to the job. I went to the corporate office, and it was raining. And I was thinking to myself, see, I'm so tired of cluster bees in my life destroying my life, right? And how many of us do this where, it's because of other people's poor choices? How many cops, right, have killed people, have killed the people that they've arrested or whatever, unalived them, excuse me, but have unalived them because of a fear their ego, a misunderstanding, they didn't see something, or they wanted to prove something, or they were being initiated into whatever police gang unit, you know? And that's the same thing here when you're dealing with cluster B personalities, because those are the type of people that do shit like that, right? So when you deal with people who think, I'm going to do it on my time, your time doesn't jive with my time. I had somebody, the new account manager, I'm like, look, I'm going to be homeless. I finally broke down and cried. I mean, like, I could not stop crying. I was so filled up. Not only because of this, but basically it's because it's like when I was watching myself plan and look for areas. I said I already did that. Look for areas to be homeless in. You know, I said I've already done that. I've already gone. I've already packed up everything into a storage unit. I've already done this. This is no longer my story. Why am I here again? And I didn't know that how intensely I was bothered until I poured my soul out pretty much to the person who was talking to me, because I was getting fitted for a uniform, and a Mexican guy, which is a trigger for me. He said something, well, we're going to follow protocol and you're just going to get in there. I'm like, oh, you better, I said, and I told him, I said, dude, I will unalive you. Do not play with me and watch your mouth. And he walked off in a huff and puff, and that's fine. You could do that, but I am not playing. Don't forget, it's like people sometimes they wear a mask and they forget, and then they try and get all vato on me. I don't need all that. I have the right to ask. And so here's this guy, they're getting mad for me asking about my uniform. She said, no, it got here within 3 days. But I was there on Tuesday. So I was there. I ordered it last Tuesday, which means Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So it was there Friday. And I called Monday and Ed, and he said, no, your uniform is not there. But when I talked to the other lady, she said, your uniform got here within 3 days, which meant I could have started work on Monday this week instead of not having any money. Do you understand, Phoenix, as well? I mean, how I know you guys have gone through it. You understand how that feels when somebody, somebody again is gaslighting you, is giving the ingredients of, we're going to try and make you homeless because you won't submit to us. We got to knock you down a peg, and because you're Black especially. How dare you, as a Black female, not let us, not take mammy form and stick up for yourself and embarrass us? How dare you? So I told her, I said, you know what? I'm tired. And I said, I'm looking at being homeless again. Do you guys understand that? And she said, well, nobody told you that being reassigned would take 2 weeks. I asked to be reassigned March 2nd. It is now March 15th. Do you guys understand that? You understand the difference? Nobody said anything. She didn't confirm that she was going to reassign me. I didn't get a confirmation. There have been times where these guys, this employer has called me, and she said, well, your phone was busy or something. Your phone, what did she say? Your mailbox was full. How do I have a full mailbox? I barely even get any calls, So it was just triggering because, and even in a trigger. So here's how I calmed myself in a trigger. Go to the next one. So I recognized that I was being triggered because of the homeless. I'd already been there. And I was like, I'm not going to go back to being homeless. I don't have to, because I've done nothing wrong to be homeless right now. I did something, I made a bad choice, but I have not made a bad choice in this situation. This is pure retaliation. So, how I settled myself down, calmed myself down and got recentered after recognizing that I was in a trigger is I let myself cry. And a lot of us, especially women of color, I think a lot of people do feel like, oh, okay, I can't cry, right? But since I do focus on lesbian and trans women 30 to 50 years old, I'm going to talk from that and that perspective, that a lot of us have been taught that we can't cry, that we're being manipulative when we cry, right? So why would I want to cry in front of somebody? Because the first thing that I have thought, like I was crying in front of her and I wasn't meaning to, and I kept apologizing. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so backtracking. I'm so backsliding. I'm a here's the thing. When you one thing that I have learned, how I get my center is that I have to say to myself, it's not everybody. Not everybody is attacking me. This woman called me an Uber to take back. She made sure that I would get some hours, right? Um, through the training that I did. So I wouldn't have gotten that if I would have been hysterical. And especially as Black females, it's not that you don't need to express your emotions, but you don't need to be hysterical about things. And in certain situations, yes, hysterics is called for. But having emotional intelligence is knowing what calls for what, right? We have to have an emotional balance. And some of us haven't because we've been told you're manipulating by crying and using your tears. You're a narcissist. You just want attention. You're faking it, right? Or we get unwanted sexual advances if we cry. Like I don't want some people, you know what I mean? It's like I like hugs. I used to like hugs. People don't hug anymore. I mean, probably because of COVID and all this other. I'm not in the area. I'm not in an environment that where you want people hugging you, right? Um, so that's how I calmed myself down. It's like, okay, I recognize it. I recognize it. I recognize I was talking to myself the whole way back to the hotel. And I was like, and I just you have this talk. It's like, hey, I'm embarrassed because I cried in front of somebody. I mean, I cried ugly tears. Like I was just all that emotion, that energy. Number one is the energy that I've been attacked with at night. So my subconscious had already been attacked. My physical body was being attacked. I mean, you'll still never convince me that me eating mostly salads and spinach smoothies still is going to pack on the weight gain. So you're not going to anyway. There's more to that, but anyway, you know what I mean. Just all this stuff and the things that I was hearing being the intentions of other people, like to try and take my self-esteem away, everything. And I let myself feel that anguish. I let myself feel it, right? And then I told myself repeatedly, you're okay. No matter what happens, I don't think that the Most High God is going to allow me to be homeless. I've done nothing to be homeless. I mean, I've done everything right. And literally, I think the other frustrating, the triggering thing it was because when I was on the streets and there would be housing, all of us, and I would be like, just, I mean, it's like moments away of getting keys. and something would suddenly happen. Somebody would talk to somebody. I don't even know because it happened so fast, right? And all of a sudden, I remember I had a counselor. I was really talking to her. We were really making some progress. I really felt good. And then suddenly, she didn't call me back anymore. She didn't want to talk to me. I don't know what they did to her. You understand? That's a real thing. Like I had to look her up and be like, what the hell just happened? Why? I mean, you know what I mean? This was LGBT counseling. And I think I was seeing her for about a couple months. And it helped tremendously. This was when I first got off the streets. You know, I've had housing, had tiny homes that I qualified for, and I went through that whole process. And that's what's triggering me is because I feel like I'm going through that whole process again, right? So on one hand, I'm like, okay, is this witchcraft or is this, you know what I mean? It's like the universe, or what step did I miss? And it has nothing. And so there are times, Phoenixes, where it has nothing to do with you. I don't have a roommate this time. I'm not, I'm not doing anything. I'm working. I'm working on my creative, projects. I'm working on this YouTube channel. I'm working on, the TikToks and, you know, uh, creating programs and writing books. That's what I'm working on. But our enemies like to keep us distracted because if I can make you, and that's what happened. I mean, but see, the thing of it is, they didn't understand that on, and they all also were trying to make me feel crazy, and that's not the first time. So, you know, through doing my own deep shadow work, I am now able to recognize what is me and what is not me. Because one thing that the devil wants, the demonic realm, these cluster B personalities, is for you to be punished and for you to be open to take their sins. That's why they need us around. And because when we're powerful, they say, oh, well, you can process it. You can feed me and you can process my sins. You can take them on to you. That's what people pleasing is. People pleasing means that I took on my dad's sins. And my family members, the flying monkeys, were blaming me for essaying a sibling that I would never have, didn't have the equipment, would never do, but I got blamed for that. And they thought it was justified. You see what I'm saying? And he clung to me for a long time until I, did a spell pretty much, and not necessarily, but I just basically wrote him and said, hey, which this broke the spell. Knowing the truth and telling the truth breaks the spell that they have over you. And that makes them mad. But when I broke that spell from him being the sexual predator and sexual assaulter of a sibling and putting that back in his court so he could deal with it because he was a narcissist and he wanted me to take it on. I put it back in his court and he didn't like that. But he transformed into the ugliness that he actually was because that was an ugly energy. You ever notice? And that's the reason why, Phoenix, is when you are with a cluster B personality or you are working for a employer that hires and specializes in hiring, creating a culture of cluster Bs by hiring certain types of people all the time. And once one of them get in, see, when cluster Bs get in, they recognize each other just like they recognize us. They recognize the light workers and they recognize the dark ones. And they will uplift their own because they're both mediocre, but they both are delusional about how important they are. And like attracts like. Okay? So I just really had to calm myself down. And again, you know, um, made all the calls that I could get. And I just, and the thing with being an empath, and we want to be proactive, but a lot of times we get that download of knowing nothing's going to change but a miracle of God.
you know. So yes, it's okay to cry, because when we cry, we somebody said that scientifically we release certain bacteria. Crying releases stress hormones, and somebody says endorphins, you know. So researchers have found that crying activates the parasympathetic nervous system, PNS. The PNS helps your body rest and digest. The benefits aren't immediate, however. Crying exercises your brain to easily cry more and liberate more chemicals related with the process. What is extremely health That is extremely healthy. People who cry are more happy and have a mind more. So yeah, something says it releases the endorphins. It releases, helps you to release the memory of the painful memory. So whatever, how the pain that you felt, that's attached to a memory. So when you cry, it helps you release that, right? Because that's exactly what I remember. I said, this feels, so complex post traumatic stress disorder, right? This feels like I am being herded like a cattle back into being homeless. Yet it's not the same, because I don't have the room. There's not the same environment. It's not the same ingredients. I'm not the same person, right? So I don't know. I don't know what is going to happen now, but I know I recognize my triggers, and I sat in it. I felt that anger. I felt that pain. I felt that fear. Because if I didn't feel it, it was going to consume me in other ways that I would not have been able to um, accept. Then I recentered myself, took deep breaths, reminded myself that this is an illusion that is being over me, that is being created by somebody else who is obsessed with me with a cluster B personality. And this is what these demons do. How dare you have a YouTube channel? How dare you write a book? How dare you still desire to be a filmmaker? How dare you still speak the truth about us, and not allow us to, beat you up for it? We're going to take you down a few pegs. Now, right now, I don't know, because and the other trigger can be, it's like, okay, well, when you know that somebody is trying to block you, right? And part of the ingredients is like when people go after your mind, right? And they use other people, right? It's been a weird day today. It really has, because somebody who I didn't get too triggered, but I recognized the energy. One of the ladies said, "Hey, I'll get, oh, well, no worries, I can give you a ride to, this, because I have to." Oh, on top of everything. So here was a big trigger. On top of everything that was going on, so here I have no money, or little money, and I just got paid my last paycheck, and this these people here are saying, okay, now you got to move. You got to move. So here's the thing: I've been here for 4.5 months. If I wanted to, I could stay. If I wanted to play that game, if I was so inclined, I could stay, right? But she said, "Oh no, we'll just go for 3 days." I'm like, okay, but I'm in my hand. I'm thinking, I'm calculating everything. Like, it's not gonna work. So I'm putting everything in storage slowly, right? Hey, baby, putting everything in storage, and I'm just waiting, because I'm like, we're gonna be homeless again, you know. Um, so that was the other trigger, because it felt like the energy around me is all. It's really weird when everybody around you kind of shuts down, but you know you're kind of being watched. You know, that you're seeing things, and people are doing things, and you know what I mean. Like, I remember the street theater from the gang stalking. Okay, so I'm like, okay, so I had to call on the Most High. That's when I start pumping up. So here's what another thing I do to center myself. Personally, me, I listen to gospel music or chill step. Um, I chant my Vedic mantras double time. Like I'll do it throughout the day. Just the whole playlist that I got. Chant, 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 chant. I'm not going to listen to I'm not going to allow the fear, because whatever comes is going to come, and I'll act accordingly because I don't know, right? But I also give thanks. It's like, what, I know that you're there for us, so I'm gonna. You've never failed me yet. I have to, that CC Winans song. You've never lost a battle. I used to bump that every day when I was in Sacramento. Because they would come when I'd go to work, they would harass me. When I'd go off, during my shift, they would harass me. When I'd get off my shift, they would harass me. These guys were getting so bold, and they were using homeless people, and they'd always wear their red and black and all this other stuff. But they were getting so bold that they would literally try and cause a physical altercation until they realize that may not be the best thing, you know, because whatever they're paying you, you're not going to be able to spend it. So they've kind of upped their game. But it's like I've already been through this, so my mind, the PTSD, have been triggered, right? I've already been through this. I've already surpassed this. I'm not the same person. Then I ask for revelation. Step one: Most High God, reveal to me if there's anything that I have done that has been out of character or that would send me back. He said, no. They're trying to get you to think that you're going back. That was a revelation that I got, that I shared on the last podcast discussion. When faith isn't enough, he said that's what they want you to think, so you stop having faith. And a lot of times, Spirit Phoenix is rising. Having faith does not mean that you just know everything, that you know exactly how things are going to take shape. Because if you're anything like me, you'll sabotage your ass because you're going to be in disbelief. God doesn't need you to be in disbelief. God needs you to be like, hey, this was a miracle. I wasn't expecting you to show up and show out like this. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Amen. Right? So a lot of times it's just walking step by step. I have called all the numbers that they gave me. So, and that was, again, this whole situation for the last 2 weeks has been triggering. Last week, yeah, 2 weeks has been triggering, because it's like a slow downward spiral. When my mother passed, she came to me in the spirit. It's just trigger warning, you guys. I'm sorry. I am variable. I'm not sorry for being blunt. But I want to just let you know, trigger warning. But when she came to me, she was telling me what happened. And what I got was a tornado upside down, of course, not upside down, but just a tornado that was spinning, 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 spinning. And I'm like, what the heck is happening? I could see it, but I could feel it too. She goes, I was doing just fine. And then all of a sudden, everything went out. My mom, they did witchcraft on her. And unfortunately, I didn't know what that was, and it was terrifying me. So I cut it off. I was like, dude, no. You know, I was so mad at her. So, but later on, I would find out when they tried to do it with me to try and cause me. So I don't have the lifestyle. See, God prepared me with the intermittent fasting to starvation. God had to say, well, no, you actually, it was getting so thick, the witchcraft was getting attacks, and the rituals were getting so intense, and they were bombarding me to the point where I could not eat. And I've had this thing with my digestive system. I was like, oh gosh, so somebody did something, you know what I mean? Here we go again, right? And so faith does not mean that you see what's coming, that you even believe what's coming, right? Or that you don't know, right? And sometimes it's just, I'm hoping, because there's so many blocks, I'm hoping that I can transfer over to this hotel, right? Because there's so many blocks. So I'm hoping that I can rent a car, that the car will be there, right? Because they play mind games. Because that's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling like this is somebody's chance. Somebody is throwing their is throwing their hat in the ring, you know, or is going to take their chances to try me again, right? And sometimes that will happen, Phoenixes. But faith for me is I've done everything that I can. All I can do right now is stand. And instead of getting in a low vibration, because I've been there, you know, been not tempted, but that energy has been there. So I start playing with the girls. I start getting goofy with them, right? Because when I'm down and was getting irritated, so I was snapping at them a lot. Like, why would you do this? Stop. Just get over here. Stand. Stay there. Be quiet. You know. And I have to change up. No, it's not their fault. It's not their fault. I'm also aware that when I was on the streets, even I was on the streets, that wasn't enough for them. They were trying to kill my dogs, right? So we've already been through this. When they want you to lose something, and it gets real sadistic, it gets real scary. And like I said, a lot of people don't want to get into this real warfare path. I didn't think that it was going to be this. I didn't feel like I was going to meet an Olga Texador. I didn't think that I was going to have to deal with a Mexican gang for the last 15 years that just keeps going and going and going. Like they literally have a profile on me, my bank profile, my where I go, I mean, just what I mean. Like as I said, I said at the beginning, I said, okay, well we're here, but people already know that we're here. And so I got to meet, because there was a time where the Most High was saying that this is from all over. This is their gang. This is their network. This is how they have accumulated wealth. And because you're talking about it and you're exposing the sex trafficking that you saw while you were on the streets of young kids, young girls, right? You got video of uh, a group hurting a 13-year-old girl. So they don't want that coming out. It doesn't matter if see, when you're dealing with cluster B personalities, Phoenix's Rising Academy, it does not matter if you're in the right. They don't care, especially if you're in the right. They don't care. They're going to still keep coming for you. And what was also revealed was that they came after my mom. My mom did the same thing. I was like, because I had to ask the Most High God, I was like, why do I keep thinking about mom? And he said, because this is what happened to her. She stopped dating somebody or thwarted somebody's advances and was rude, and they thought, oh, I'm gonna come after you for the rest of your life. I'm gonna come after you for the rest of your life. And she actually had my the golden child that she chose as the golden child. And even though my mother was a cluster B personality, I know how she got to be a cluster B personality. I'm empathetic towards that. But she shouldn't have had to go through that. So, I recognize, I take the time out and say, okay, feel what I'm feeling. Phoenixes, when you're getting triggered, feel what you're feeling. Write it down if you need to. Look, I'm feeling scared because this is reminding me of how I became, what happened before I officially became homeless the first time. For 3 years, I don't have another day in me to become homeless. And this is actually not the first time. So this is not. Somebody said the other day, and I said, you know what? She's right. If you can't make friends, if you can't do anything with people here in the area that you're in, leave. Leave. If the whole entire environment seems to be revolted by you and your presence, and you haven't said or done a damn thing to them, you literally keep to yourself, leave. It's a coven. Leave. And it's a demonic coven. Leave. If you can, leave. And see, that's the thing. We just had all these floods, so there's a lot of people who are homeless, a lot of people who can't work, a lot of people, you know what I mean? So now there's going to be fights for resources. I know I called to see if I couldn't get a hotel voucher or anything like that. I didn't get calls back. I'm on like a 2 month waiting list, or more than that, because I've been on the waiting list all this whole entire time. You know, I have no idea if they tried to call me or not. I had somebody try and call me from Texas. You know, um, yeah, I think I covered it. I think if you guys have any questions, please let me know. Let me do warfare prayers that I did not do. I popped them open, but I didn't do them. Oh, I think I closed it. Okay. All right. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you guys so much. Again, recognize it. Just sit in your emotions. Get a safe space and sit in the emotions that you feel. Do not allow them to overtake you. Have a notebook out or a little piece of paper or whatever and write it down. Okay. And get centered. Soft music. Cry. It's okay to cry. You deserve to cry. Crying is releasing that emotion, that memory, right? It's a form of healing. When you go to the bathroom, it's a form of healing. You're purging your body of all those toxins, right? Back and front, you're purging. Okay? So crying is okay. It's okay for black women to cry. It's okay for trans women to cry. It's okay for lesbians to cry. It's okay for us to cry. It doesn't matter if anybody thinks that we're being manipulative or wanting attention or calls us narcissists because we're crying. Or says we're ugly when we cry or whatever. It doesn't matter. Cry, get it all out. Get it all out. And do it as write down what just triggered you, as many times as you need to. Right? Do tell yourself how to listen to some positive affirmations, recite some positive affirmations. Everything that I do to keep me out of that darkness. Because if we get stuck in the darkness, we can't see the light of God coming to our rescue. We can't see the light of God over the hill from which cometh our help. We can't see it. They want you to miss out on an opportunity by distracting you with thinking that you're getting ready to do the same thing over and over again. Because if they can get into your subconscious mind and you can make it a conscious reality, right? They can get a hold of you. Even if I said, even if I'm homeless for one day, I still didn't give up faith in the Most High God, because the Most High God has never left me. And it does feel like, because we're in flesh form right now. I mean, I was in good shape back then, because I did 5 or 8 months of a fitness program doing hit cardio, and then I immediately, almost, well, about a year, did intermittent fasting because I was tired of the way that I was eating, because it was all stress. It was all stress fat, you know, stress from living with a monster, a demon, for 2 months. All right. So love on yourself. Listen to some smooth, relaxing music, anything that's at a high vibration, because that's what I noticed. It's like, these people are, whatever this entity is, it's trying to take me down, right? Because if I get depressed, then I'm not going to listen to what the Most High God's got to say to me. If I get depressed, I'm not going to work on my, I'm not, if I get depressed or if I get overly emotional, right? I'm not going to have any help. Nobody's going to want to help me because they're going to be too terrified to do it. They're going to be mad because it's like, oh my God, why are you talking to us like that? You don't have anything to do with you. You know? All right. Again, thank you for listening, you guys. Psalms 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Psalms 91. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God. In Him will I trust. Surely He shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler, and from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover thee with His feathers, and under His wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. Only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked. Because thou hast made the Lord, which is my refuge, even the Most High, thy habitation, there shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. For he shall give his angels charge over thee, to keep thee in all thy ways. They shall bear thee up in their hands, lest thou dash thy foot against a stone. Thou shalt tread upon the lion and the adder, the young lion and the dragon shalt thou trample under feet. Because he hath set his love upon me, therefore will I deliver him. I will set him on high, because he hath known my name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life will I satisfy him, and shew him my salvation. All right, I love you, Phoenixes. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please hit the subscribe, hit the bell, and if you guys have $1 or more, do a donation. You can go through my link tree, my Phoenix Rising Academy link tree, and there's donation buttons there. I appreciate you in advance. Thank you so much. And remember, your blessings are in your ashes, Phoenix. Rise.